All right, all right, all right. We are back for another episode of Freedom from Alcohol. What's going on, everybody? My name is Chris. We got Matt, we got Lauren. Hey, guys, what's up?
Hello,
Hey,
hello. Things are well.
Summertime. Lauren's technically on a vacation, but she's still taking time to record this with us. That's pretty cool. Where are you at? Virginia Beach right now?
Virginia Beach at the moment. Before that, we were camping, but I have family here, so I'm at my sister's house chilling. So we'll be going to go eat some lunch with some other family, and then I think we're having a little bit of a pickleball tournament night tonight with
Yes.
family. So
Oh,
that's
there
Oh,
you
what we're
go.
up to.
You
hell
know,
yeah.
I have yet to play pickleball. I haven't played it once, so I don't know what all the rage is about. Am I missing out? I gotta get on the pickleball train here.
You're missing out.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Matt, do you play?
No,
Woo!
it looks very intriguing and I keep hearing about it. And I love the word pickleball. So like if
Yes.
nothing else, I want to play
It
it
is
simply
fun. Yeah,
because, right?
yeah, yeah.
It is
Um,
a really good time. So it would be not like myself if I didn't mention this in this podcast. So now it'll be out there for everyone to know that we went to Detroit a couple weekends ago for a pickleball tournament that my dad and his siblings were hosting in honor of his mother who had passed like 2 years before.
oh,
So that
okay.
was my first experience with pickleball. My kids fell in love with it. My husband loves it. He used to play a lot of tennis, so the game is the same. Like if you were good at tennis, you're going to be good at pickleball. So we had a really good time, but my husband and I walked away with the championship title. So
Oh,
No
damn.
way.
Look
I
at
just got to tell
that.
Yes.
you, I got to tell you.
Yeah. Humble brag right
Natural.
there.
That's
Yeah.
right. Just sort
I
of
love
happened.
it.
So it
Yeah.
would be like me to put it on the podcast so that now my kids can say, well, you got to brag about it there too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hell
Just
Did a whole
yeah.
show about it.
That's the whole reason why you would even do something like that,
Yeah.
to
Why
have the
win
bragging
something?
rights.
That's
Exactly.
right. Yes.
Did you
No,
get
it's
it?
a good game. So one of our older clients, who is no longer in our active part of the program, but her and I are still chit-chatting on the back end. She was telling me all about pickleball and how amazing it was. And I thought it sounded so dorky. I'm going to be completely honest. I'm like, why are you getting all jazzed up about this? But
Yeah.
it is a whole thing. It's a whole
Yeah.
thing. The outfits, you can have a
Oh, I didn't know
pattern
there's
that's like
outfits.
more. Oh yeah, for the girls. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
got it. Okay. Yeah.
people
Yeah.
seem to really get into it. Like it's a
Yeah.
thing.
It's a
So
big thing. Yeah.
it did you get like a trophy for winning or a medal or what did you
Yes.
get?
Like a
Yes.
pickle.
It was a
A
trophy of
pickle,
my
a
dad has a
pickle.
friend who is a coach at Alabama. I don't want to say it's Alabama State, but I'm going to say it. I'm not sure. I hope nobody kills me for being incorrect, but it's a bobblehead personality type coach thing from Alabama. So my job now that I hold the trophy is to go get it mounted on something where we can start adding gold plaques. And
Ah,
so each year we can pass it along and add another gold plaque to it.
Smart.
So
okay. All
Cool.
right. I
that's my
like
job.
it. I
Yep,
like it.
yep.
Well, that's huge. That's good. Good for you. I can't believe you didn't tell us about that until right now. We would have celebrated with you. That's a
Yeah.
I haven't even posted it on Facebook yet, guys. I'm waiting to roll it out slowly because I want to be able to bask in the glory for a long time. So if we just keep telling individual outlets in different ways, slowly,
Yeah.
I can just relive it.
yeah, yeah.
Well, this is
Well,
going out to
see,
the world now.
That's right. That's
Like,
right.
yeah. Yeah.
yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to get on the pickleball train too because I want to see if what the rage is all about. So I appreciate it. It's a good conversation. Um, you know what I think about is we're talking about this, right? You're on vacation. You're doing these new things. Matt just moved into a new house. We're moving.
Indeed.
My wife and I are moving cross country again. We moved last year from Minnesota down to South Carolina, and now we're idiots because we're moving back to the cold in Minnesota. But that's where family is, and so we decided, you know what? We're going to move back there. So we're about ready to make this cross country trek. But I was just thinking about how, with alcohol out of the way, you're able to move and progress and do things, get some momentum, try different things, and just experience life in a whole different way. Where when I was a drinker, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong on your part, but it was
Mhm.
more just like stagnant, just repeating, not really going to the next level, not really doing anything. You just kind of always doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And it
Groundhog
just,
Day.
yeah, that thought just
Yeah.
came to me, right? Like when you're alcohol free, you have that clarity to, hey, I'm gonna go try this. Oh, I don't like that.
Mhm.
Okay, at least I tried it. I'm gonna go try this until you get that clear headed space to just be doing things, right?
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. There was so much that I wanted to do that was always like, it was like the one day I'll get around to it type thing. And then as soon as I stopped drinking, like miraculously, I started doing all the stuff, right? All the things I was like, oh, one day I'll get around to doing that. So yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Lauren's starting businesses. You got like a hot lot of plates that you're
Hmm.
juggling. Like,
I'm
so there's
winning
there's movement.
trophies.
Yeah,
Winning
exactly.
trophies.
So I
Yes. But we just went ziplining too the other day. And one thing I'll say about it is that we were camping in West Virginia and it was so freaking hot. 2 o'clock ziplining, climbing through the trees, climbing up these rickety ladders, zipping. It was so much fun. But I'm thinking about the Lauren of the past who was a drinker and would have done that same excursion because I like doing fun things, even if I was going to have a massive hangover. But I wouldn't have had a good time because I would have been
Mhm.
feeling really sick. It was really hot. Um, and so I would have done all of the things, but I would have been really like kind of miserable in it, if that makes sense. Like the experience of ziplining while sober was so great. I wasn't waiting for it to be over so I could go lay back down or get a drink like hair of the dog type situation. But
Mhm.
anyway, yes, trying new things and being able to do them because you're not sick. I think
Yeah.
that's the hugest thing for me.
Yeah, you have freedom to go and live your life however you want. And sometimes I kind of forget about that because it's like, oh damn, the old me wouldn't have done this. No, there's no way. I would either say there's no money for it, or I don't want to do it, or
Yeah.
whatever. And now it's like, yeah, let's go do that. Let's live our life. So, but that's not actually what we want to talk about today. But I just was thinking about that, and I'm like, I think that's if you're in that place where you can relate, and you go, yeah, I feel like I'm kind of just staying stagnant. I don't try new things, and my life has kind of been on repeat for over forever. Like, let's give you some hope here because this is what you can experience with an alcohol-free life. And so, the topic of conversation we want to get into today is if you are at the point where you say, I want to be done with alcohol, I want to stop, I want to change my life. What do you do? What are the different options? And I'm guessing if you're listening to this podcast that you're in that place, right? You're either sober curious, or maybe you've already stopped drinking and you just like listening to this for whatever reason, or you're in that place where you go, I got to make a change. Maybe you've been listening to podcasts for a while. Maybe you've bought some books, you've read those, you get all worked up and fired up about it, but then bam, you're still drinking. And that's a really frustrating place to be. So what we wanted to do today is kind of go over, well, what are the different routes you can take to break free from alcohol? Obviously, if you've listened to us for a long time, we run a coaching business. That's how we help people. And we'll talk about that. That's one of the options, which I might be a little bit biased, but I think it's a really amazing option because I see what our clients are doing and the success rate that we have is 96%. Let me just drop that out there real quick. But no, it's true because what we do, it really does help people. And again, we'll get into why that works. But let's talk about some of the other ways, Matt. The big one, AA, right? That's
Yeah.
what most
Yeah.
people think of if they go,
Yeah.
I probably got to do that if I'm going to quit drinking. Talk about that a little bit if you wouldn't mind.
For sure. Yeah. Like, so AA, worked for me to a point, right? So it definitely, it saved my life initially, and I want to get into the specifics of it because like AA is
Yeah,
very polarizing, right? So for me,
right.
what I needed was a community. Was very much suffering in silence, and I thought that the fact that I was drinking alone was very like obtuse. I always, as a result, I always thought that people that had true drinking problems were the ones that were going out and getting slammed like after work, like out in the pubs and bars. So technically mine wasn't really a problem because I wasn't really bothering anybody. Just all these different justifications I had. And as a
Yeah.
result, that accumulated to a point where I was just like, man, I was like super ashamed in this. I did everything in secret. So when it came time to like put my hand up for help, I was like, oh man, this is brutal. How do I even go about doing this? So I ended up going to an AA meeting. And it really did save my life because I was at the crossroads of I'm just going to go on a huge bender here and just that's the end. That's how I'm going to essentially end my life, or I'm going to at least try this AA thing. And you hear different stories, but for me, I'll just give my story and what helped and happened for me. I went there and it was like the exact opposite of the caricature of an AA meeting of the dry drunks and just every the pissing contest of who's survived more and all that sort of thing. It was nothing like that, right? So I say that to say, like, if you're starting out, there is definitely some value in AA as far as the community aspect. It's readily available, it's free. You can get out there and you can get a start. For me, it was just like, oh, there is other people that, and just being in the energy of a room of other people that were going through the same thing in different varying stages. Literally, like I felt like a weight come off my shoulder. There was like a 180 somewhere inside of me that was like, that doesn't happen very often, right? Like when we do change, it's gradual incremental change. I had a massive change, massive lasting change coming off the strength of that first meeting. Having said that, though, the further along I got into AA, and also paralleling with my own self-development through Wayne Dyer books and, Eckhart Tolle and things of this nature, I felt, and this might rub some people the wrong way, I felt like I was outgrowing AA because there was like, it's very rigid. It's very like structured, which I needed at the beginning. But after
Mhm.
about 8 months or so, I was starting to kind of reject the content and reject calling myself an alcoholic and reject some of the language and just the repetition of going to the meetings, and almost like it felt like it was lowering my vibe. And I know that seems like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth. All I'm saying is my experience, right? It
Mhm.
saved my life. So I will always say that, always preface a conversation about AA with that.
Yeah.
Having said that, though, the further along I got, I really felt like it was like almost like pulling me back into something I no longer wanted to be a part of, if that makes sense. So
Yeah, dig into that a little bit more though. So like, were the conversations always kind of the same? Like, oh, I did this when I was drunk, and I'm ashamed of it. And this
yeah,
one person that's trying to one up about I was worse. Like, what was the conversation like?
yeah, I did get into that. Like it was, I would often just be a fly on the wall for the conversations. I didn't put my hand up and tell my story. So I found that there was definitely a repetition in the stories and even in the people. And then, when they'd have a slip up or something, in the way that it would be sort of greeted with like doom and gloom, the vibe that way. And just honestly, just the verbiage being used, I don't relate to it, man. I don't like going to this place and go, "Hey, I'm an alcoholic." I didn't like it from day one, to be honest with you. But the further along I got, I don't identify as that. So
Yeah.
it was very, even just that alone, was enough to kind of be off-putting for me. So the language being used, the repetition, and just honestly, dude, it comes down to the vibe check. My vibe lowered when I would go in there, and that's not what I'm about, right? I want to be growth. I want to feel expansive and all that. And so, yeah, yeah. Hopefully, I covered enough ground with AA there. Like there is obviously some benefit, and but as far as like long term, I just didn't find that it wasn't for me long term. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the thing here. And we always put the disclaimer out. We don't give a shit how you get sober or
Totally.
go alcohol free. Whatever works for you works for you. And AA has been around for a long time. They have saved millions of people's lives, and so we don't have anything against them. But it's the problem kind of becomes when people in AA then say, well, if you don't do it the AA way, you're destined to fail. You're going to
Mm,
go back. You're going to, you have to go to meetings forever. You have to sit and discuss this. And I've heard it over and over from people that AA kind of becomes the new addiction to replace the drinking, right? It's like
mm,
we're going to go to this meeting and we're going to continue talking about alcohol and all the shit we did in the past, and we're going to call ourselves powerless and broken and surrender ourselves to a higher power. And I just, for me, that's such a turnoff that it's like, wow, man, I can't see myself doing that. That scared me to think, if I have to quit drinking, that's the only way to do it, because I didn't really know about other alternative ways out there. But there's plenty of people that do go to AA that have gone, that it works for, and more power to you, right? But we're just letting you know, if you're listening right now, that that is not the only way. And if you're not in this place where you want to put labels on yourself saying you're an alcoholic, because I don't understand that. I really don't. And some people swear by that. Like, I have to say that, otherwise I'm going to forget and I'm going to go back. Well, I just
mm,
think, right, you become the story that you tell yourself. So if you keep telling yourself you're an alcoholic, that's such a negative sort of, like you said, vibrational level to be on. It's like, well, that I had a problem with alcohol, but does that mean I'm a alcoholic for the rest of my life? Lauren talks about this all the time. How, she used to smoke, I used to smoke. We don't sit around and, hi, I'm a smokeaholic. We just stop smoking, and that's no longer who we are. So that's, I think, the biggest thing for me is like that we have to attach ourselves to this for the rest of our lives. That we're this label, we're a broken, powerless person that has to surrender to a higher power, instead of taking our own power back and go, you know what, I don't want this relationship with alcohol anymore. I'm going to do something about it myself. That's the whole thing for me. And Lauren, I mean, what are your thoughts on AA? And we're going to talk about other methods too, but the
Yeah.
big one is AA. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, so one of the things I thought of, Matt, while you were talking, and I think this might be resonating with a lot of people, is that you kind of get stuck in a space where you outgrew AA, you thought. And I feel like it's the 5 stages of grief, or like the 5 stages of recovery, maybe, where
Mm.
AA is a really good jumping off space. But
Mm.
then what's next? We can't just sit in a
Right.
circle for the rest of our lives talking about what was and what went wrong and how we're not drinking today. We need
Totally.
to still be able to build more. So it's like, AA is not the end of the road for you to just go every day. It's a jumping off point, and it's been a lot
Yeah.
been
Yeah.
helpful to a lot of people. For me, I didn't go that route because I knew it wouldn't be anonymous for me, and at the time I was working as a nurse practitioner full time, and I thought, maybe wrongly, and also adding to the stigma of problem drinking, I thought that I wouldn't have the authority if people knew that I was also dealing with an alcohol problem. So I didn't want to go that route. Now, looking back, I probably am adding to the stigma by holding that belief, right? That, but I didn't want to do it. And I'd been to one as a nursing student a long time before. So I didn't want to go that route. I also really strongly believe in my power as a woman, my power as a human. We're pretty powerful. I don't have to give my power away. And I don't want to sit in a circle every day talking about being a smokeaholic when I haven't had a cigarette in 15 years, you know?
Right.
So for me,
Yeah.
it's been 4 years plus for not drinking. I don't want to sit around and talk about that anymore. There's like so many other things that we could talk about and not be reminiscing about a drug that we used to use that really used to mess us up, and kind of sharing stories about who did it better or who did it worse or who had the worst outcome or the best outcome, or, all of these things. It just feels like a pissing match at some point, when we sit around and reminisce about all of that. But so for me, I wanted more than that. And I wanted to rebuild a life that I didn't want to drink to escape from. So I wanted to grow. I wanted to become more aware of who I was and what was going on and what was kind of leading me to want to abuse a drug rather than deal with my own life. So, but keeping the power here rather than giving it away. That was
Yeah.
my big, like, that's why that didn't resonate with me. And I think that for the people that it works for, let's go, let's do it, get your ass there, go every day if that's what keeps you sober and you are having a good life there. But if you're
Mhm.
not, what are the other ways that we can go about getting sober, living an alcohol-free life? There's so many other options other than just AA.
Mhm.
Yeah. And the known success rate for AA is like 5 to 8%, which is just, I mean, it's not good. That's not, would you go to a doctor that had a 5 to 8% success rate? No, you wouldn't.
Yeah.
Um, so again, there's something not working for everybody there. There's people that it does work for, but there's a vast majority of people that goes, that's not the way that I think I'm going to get sober. I don't want to attach myself to this forever. So then what are the other options? Well, the other thing that you probably think of is rehab. You could go to rehab. They're using a lot of the same AA methodology, though. I mean, it's a lot of the same. Here's the 12 steps. Just kind of give this to people. Court ordered sort of thing. They make people go to AA and or rehab, um, and it's just kind of this thing where like rehab might work, but how many people have we spoken to who said the day I got out of rehab, I went to the liquor store and,
Mhm.
and bought a drink? And why is
Yeah.
that? What,
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, why do you guys think that is? Is it because they're not getting to the root of the problem? I mean, honestly, what do you think?
Well, it's like you've heard like the sauna effect, right? Like while you're in the sauna, everything's great and it's contained and it's controlled environment and everything else. And then as soon as you get out of the sauna, it's like you're back into the world, so to speak. So I think it's a little bit of that. You're in a bubble.
Yeah,
Everything's dictated for you, planned for you. There's a good chance that you don't really necessarily change any of your own behaviors because everything's sort of planned out for you, right? And it's like, hey,
bingo.
you're going to go do this now and all that, and it's almost like your free will is, I wouldn't say free will is completely thrown out, but you know what I mean? There's a lot of it's dictated and force fed to you, right? And at the end of the day, I mean, if you're court ordered to do anything, there's always going to be a part of you that rejects that and some kind of resentment, right? Or a projection of like, you're not going to fully accept it. You didn't do it on your own accord. It's never going to, we know this drug well enough. It's never going to, it's not going to be 100% basically. You're never going to be
Right.
100% all in with it. So I think there's a bit of that, right? It's like, why so many people have problem getting into like a prison, right? It's like everything was so structured in prison or even like the military to a whole different degree, but you know what I mean? Everything's so regimented and spelled out for you. And then you go back out to the real world and it's immediately you're confronted with the same cues, the same environments that you had going into rehab. And you didn't have any of that for the last 30 days because it was all so controlled and you were in a bubble. So
Yeah.
if they don't go over that with you and you don't have like an aftercare program coming out of a 30-day rehab, like us or whoever, like a coaching program or something like that, that's immersive, that helps you bridge the gap between getting out of rehab and then integrating whatever you may have learned in rehab into your new alcohol-free life or drug-free life, whatever it is. Yeah, I could see where that would be so easy to fail. In
Yeah.
fact, it'd be, yeah, it's kind of, it's dangerous in a sense.
Yeah, because if you're not doing the internal work and changing up your patterns, boom, as soon as you're back into your regular environment, guess what? Those patterns, you fall back into them. And that's
Right
why,
back into it.
again, coaching and changing patterns is huge, right? And that's we'll talk more about that in a minute. But also the fact of rehab, it can be very expensive. You know,
Yeah.
we've worked with people that have spent $90,000 on a rehab and it didn't work. I mean, that's a lot of money
Mm-hmm.
to spend on that for something not to work. That hurts me, right? And the fact that, okay, then sometimes you're going to have to miss work depending on what kind of rehab you do. People have to kind of know your business. Again, not to put the stigma on it, like Lauren was talking about, but a lot of people don't want to do that. They don't want to disrupt their life and have to go to a rehab. So that it might be an option, but look how many Hollywood people, oh, I'm in rehab, and then what? Next month they're back to drinking again, or they're back to doing drugs again. Like the system is, there's a lot of things broken with it, I believe. So
Mm-hmm.
that's one option, but
Yeah.
I don't think it's a great option. You know, you could do therapy, you could just talk to your therapist about it, but going to be honest with you, if your therapist hasn't
Is
been
a
down this
drinker.
road, yeah, or is a drinker,
Or is a drinker. Yeah.
or hasn't really dealt with it themselves, it's going to be hard for them to relate to this. And I don't even know if people are really that honest about how much they're drinking. I wasn't fully honest with my therapist about how much I was drinking or my doctor or anybody because I'm like, I don't want to be judged. So I'll say this, but really it's this. Don't tell
Mm-hmm.
me other people aren't doing that,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
you know? So therapy, we've had people work with therapists with fancy letters after their name and it doesn't work. It doesn't do get the results. And I think too with that, you're spending a lot of time in the past rehashing stuff that maybe doesn't need to be, or maybe that's not what's going to help you get moving forward with this thing. So therapy can work, but it doesn't work for alcohol for a lot of people. So what are some of the other options that you guys can think of if somebody wants to quit drinking besides coaching? What are some other things that come up for you?
Well, I want to add on real quick to what Matt was talking about with rehab. And I see this with like the dry Januaries or the other challenges where we do 30-day challenges or we're going to a 30-day, 60-day, 90-day rehab. It's a countdown. And it's a
Yeah.
countdown to what? It's countdown to the freedom you're going to have when you're on the outside of this rehab program to go drink again. Or it's a countdown to February 1st so you can have that drink. So it shifts the focus for me. When I look at something like that, like a 30-day rehab, I would have been coming out of that thing hot and heavy, ready to
Mm.
go to the gas station to get my bottle of wine or whatever it was going to be, because that countdown method for me just it puts all this energy into when I can have it again. And I've seen that happen to people coming out of rehab or coming out of a program that was like an IOP kind of intense, is that when it's that 30-day heavy period is over, now it's like, oh, now I can drink. So there's this countdown thing. And we talk a lot about not counting your days, because what are we counting to? We're not
Right.
counting to a time when we're going to start drinking again. We're not counting until when you hit 1,000. It's not like your problems go away and that you're not a problem drinker anymore. So the countdown method for me just spells disaster. So when I think of rehab or any of those programs, that's what I kind of see. And I've seen it happen with other people.
And
Um,
subconsciously too, your brain goes, "Oh wow, 30 days without drinking. You've got this under
You
control. You've
got
done
it.
really well. Like we
Yeah.
can be normal now." That the tricks that your brain will play on you, I think with the countdown sort of thing or tracking the days. I
yeah.
couldn't agree with you more on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Matt, you take it away with the next question, which is what other ways are there to get help with your alcohol?
Yeah. Well, you touched on it, Lauren, and it's they're very I guess fashionable right now. It's like the 30-day challenges, right? And which is I think they're great. I mean, this is a whole different thing. We've talked AA, we've talked rehab. So 30-day challenges to me is a lot more of, like so we dry January, dry July right now is happening as we're time of recording, sober October. And I think these ones are great and it's just they're getting a lot more steam. And to me, what they are is just people that are feeling it out, right? And there might be some people that are are doing it and then doing the countdown. And then other people that are like, okay, well, there's like a group of people, there's an excuse for me now. Cause like it's one of the things for me, I remember was like, what am I going to be telling people? Right. Why I'm not drinking. So it's just like a built-in excuse. If it's like a perfect time for you to leverage, okay, I'm feeling a certain way about drinking right now. It's kind of shrouded in darkness and I want to change this. And there's this whole thing where you can do it in like a group, right? A group or a community, whether it's TikTok, online, or with a group of your buddies even. And you have this built-in like, oh, I'm doing dry January, right? And then you can sort of take it from there. So I like those 30-day challenges in that sense, as far as finding more out about being more mindful of your drinking, right? So the sober curious thing, right, really factors in here. And so I do like that in that sense. Now, as far as long term, again, I mean, where do you go from there? Do you just kind of keep going? Like what have you had in place in dry January that will, continue on from there? Like, have you done the right things, or have you just sort of, you know what I mean? Structured the 30 days, and then coming out of it, you're going to just try and repeat it. And who knows, when something will come up, you don't have that like protective container of dry January anymore. Then you kind of expose this, similar, I guess, in rehab when you're coming out the other side. If you don't have somebody or something to help you continue on with that, then you're, the willpower, right? And doing this, like the dry drunk thing again. So again, not necessarily long-term. I do like the fact that these are becoming more prominent in our society, and more people, like the sober curious movement, is attached to these types of challenges.
Yeah.
But having said that, yeah, the long-term part, if you don't have somebody or something to help you keep up that momentum,
Wouldn't you
Yeah.
say that's where coaching comes in? That's where
Correct.
coaching,
Yeah,
correct.
absolutely.
Yeah,
that's where
correct.
coaching comes in.
Yeah.
Those 30-day challenges, whatever, it's a great place to start, because you can at least, because somebody could do that and they go, wow, you know what? I really like this. I'm digging this. I'm going to keep going. And that happens all the time, where you take the 30-day break and then you go, I don't want to go back. So there's
Yeah.
no reason not to do that. I would do that. I would do dry January and stuff like that. But then I would go back because I didn't have a plan for long term. I just was
Right.
thinking about, I'm not going to drink for 30 days, but I didn't go, well, why? And what do I do next? And
Right.
it's just one of those things where it's like, there's nothing wrong with doing it. It's a great way to give yourself a peek into an alcohol-free life. Your skin's going to improve. You're gonna look better. You're gonna have, you're gonna feel better, more energy, that kind of stuff. Your sleep is going to improve. But even beyond 30 days, it takes longer than that to really notice the benefits of an alcohol-free life. And so a lot of people, I think, will do a 30-day challenge or something like that, and not enough changes where they go, I'm going to keep going on this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a few things change, but it's not enough to make them go, let me get on this train for good. And so I think if you, like the 90-day mark, if you can make it to 90 days without alcohol, you're going to start to notice a few more things, and the momentum is going to be up where you're going to go, yeah, I want to keep doing this thing. So I would recommend that if you are going to take a break from drinking, at least give yourself 90 days. That is why we have our coaching program go for 90 days, because I think that's the sweet spot. And even beyond 90 days, look, you're gonna have experiences and benefits that you're gonna notice all the time. Like, it's been 3 years for me, and every day I notice something new. Last night I was laying in bed with my wife and my daughter, and we were cracking jokes to each other. My daughter's funny. She's gonna be a freaking comedian, man. She's like hilarious. We're just sitting there laughing and enjoying life, and I'm like, damn, I'm really so grateful for just being in this spot. And so you're going to have these moments along your journey where you go, damn, I'm so glad that I made that decision and I stuck with it. So those are kind of what people will do and the options. Now, coaching, as far as alcohol-free coaching, I didn't know that this was a thing, and I think it's a newer thing. I didn't plan on being an alcohol-free coach, but man, if you're gonna if you're really serious about, I want to quit drinking, I want to get my life back, I want to be the person who I know I'm made for, hands down, I know I'm biased, but coaching is going to be the way to go. And I will say that not even about drinking. If you want to feel better about yourself, if you want to make more money, if you want to learn something, whatever, coaching and mentorship is a wonderful way to do it. Because anything in life, here's what I've realized: you want to do something, find somebody who's done it already that can help you do it, to get you
Mm-hmm.
there faster, to help you do it, not necessarily the right way, but a way that works, so that you don't have to sit and try to spin your wheels. You don't have to try to sit and figure it out on your own, which so many people do. So many people suffer in silence. They try to white knuckle their way through it. They don't know what they're doing. They have no plan. They don't know what they're going to tell their friends when they put a drink in their hand or ask them why they're not drinking. And so when we don't know what we're doing, bam, we fall back into our comfort zone, our patterns
Yeah.
that we used to be in, because that is how the human brain works. But with coaching, this is why it's so beneficial that you can have people that don't know you from Adam come out and help you see the powerfulness that you have within you that you can't see, but other people that are coaches can see and help you get to where you need to. So, you know, with coaching, and there's different coaches. You don't have to work with us. I mean, we'd love to have you work with us, but there's other people out there that do this, and it's really amazing because our success rate is 96%, right? Why is that? Like honestly, and I'll just ask you, Lauren, why do you think we have a 96% success rate compared to like the AA's 5 to 8% success? Where does that come from?
I think number one, once a client hears our story and the struggle we went through, I think that helps people know we think we're very unique in our addiction or our disease or our patterns. And when we find out that there were other people doing the exact same thing and the exact same thought process, there's just this feeling of you can relax into the process because you just all of a sudden understand that I get it or that Matt gets it. And I remember feeling this way talking to you, Chris, when I was like, "Hey, I want to work with you." And then meeting Matt for the first time, the feeling of Matt gets me, Chris gets me. He understands what the addict part of my brain used to do. And it's this universal feeling of, I don't want to say family because that's really cliche, but there's this feeling of being seen, of being noticed, of being heard or understood when it comes to that firsthand experience that we bring to the table as coaches. So I think that's one thing. And then I think because of that, there's a lot of hope. And the three of us did all of this on our own, and we all have a really good track record of our sobriety or alcohol free time. Um, but the ticket is really just having somebody, it's like having a Sherpa walking you up a mountain. They've walked the mountain 20,000 times. You've done it. This is it. Step after step after step. So as a client, you've got this Sherpa leading you up saying, "Hey, over here, this is a really big pitfall when you go to that first wedding. If we're not prepared, why don't you take 2 steps left and grab onto this handrail over here? And we're going to walk on this side for a moment." And that's us helping our clients prepare for all these events. So it's just this really knowledgeable sense person being Sherpa guiding you up this mountain that you didn't think could even be traveled. And
Yep.
here we are traveling it daily. We're doing it happily. We're excited about life. We're not miserable. We're not white knuckling. And so when you see that, that's really inspiring. And then to be able to watch yourself go right on up that mountain with us. And that person's using their own legs. I'm not carrying that person. Matt's not carrying anybody up the mountain. So
Yep.
I think that's what makes a big difference, and I don't even know if that makes sense, but
Yeah,
that's
it
that's
does.
who we are, and that's what we do.
Yeah. No, it
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense. Yeah, and you make a good point there. We're not going to babysit you. We're not going to be a sponsor because we don't think you need that. Maybe some people do, but we believe that you're powerful and we can, coaching is not about we're going to tell you to do this and you do this and we're going to give you all this advice and you go and do it and your life changes. That's not how coaching works. Coaching is asking the right questions for you to get the answers that you are seeking, right? And remembering how powerful you are, getting back to that person in you that is confident, that's comfortable in your own skin, that has self-worth and feels really good about their life. That is our goal as coaches. The alcohol part of it, man, it's really that's kind of the easy part is not drinking. It's all the stuff that comes afterwards. How do I be a person in society that doesn't drink when everybody around me is drinking? How do I navigate that? If you just try to figure that out on your own, it's really difficult. And then the next time you're in an event where there's all this drinking around, you just kind of go, oh, fuck it. All right, might as well. I'm just going to do this.
Mhm.
So if you can have the guidance there to go, well, no, here's what this looks like, and here's the programming that you've got going on in your brain around alcohol. Here's why it's been a struggle to stay away. And let's do this. Let's do this. Like, man, that's where the magic happens, right? And so with
Yeah.
our
Yeah.
coaching community, we do group calls. So, with the AA thing like Matt was talking about, right? The community aspect is huge. It's so
Mhm.
crucial. That's one of the things about AA that absolutely is right. And so we love the community and you can relate with people that are just like you. They're successful, driven people. It's not like their life is in shambles, but alcohol, man, They can't seem to get rid of it. Those are the people. So you're going to go, ah, that's me. I'm not the only person that feels this way. Holy shit, that feels good. Woo. And we're not going to talk about shame. We're going to talk about, I mean, what do we talk about on our calls? We talk about mindset shit, right? Like managing sleep, stress and anxiety. We just had a nutrition and fitness guy on, intimacy, all these other wheels of your life. Because if you can get those pegs in a good spot, look, alcohol then becomes insignificant. You don't want to keep
Yeah.
putting poison into your body. So we do that. We do one-on-one coaching. We do hypnosis. I'm a certified hypnotist, so we use that to speak to your subconscious brain. And what does that mean even? A few years ago, I would have had, what are you talking about, subconscious? I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
In the simplest form, 95% of your decisions, your values, your actions, your beliefs, everything is in your subconscious mind. Only 5% is conscious. So when people try to quit drinking using the conscious mind, abstaining, 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 I better not, I better not, I better not, you're not getting to the 95%. The 95% is an operating system. Think of it like a computer. The operating system is just running in the background. And that says, man, and I've had a stressful day. Alcohol, I need it. That equals that. Man, I want to take the edge off. Man, I want to celebrate. It's happy hour. It's vacation. All of these things, the default program is going to alcohol. And so, with all these other things, AA, rehab, all these things, if you don't get to that programming, that 95%, you may be able to not drink for a little while. But guess what? The next time you're in a stressful situation, the next time it's vacation time, fuck it. That pattern, that system is automatically going to alcohol. That's why it's frustrating because people go, I say I want to quit, but I keep coming back to it. Why? What's going on? That is where the difference comes in with our program alone, is reprogramming those patterns so you're not automatically defaulting to it. And people tell us all the time, what do they say? I can't believe it seems way easier than I ever would have thought. Well, why
Yeah.
is that?
There's a lot of
Why
that.
is that?
Yeah.
It's because of that, right? So and you can see I get passionate about this because you can quit however you want to quit, but honestly, we've helped so many people change their lives. And you watch somebody who goes from drinking 2 bottles of wine a night, they've been drinking for 20, 30, 40 years. They've tried AA, they've tried therapy, they've tried white knuckling it. None of that shit works. You know how frustrating that is? Oh my God, it's hopeless. It gets to this place where you're hopeless. And then they come and work with us. And they get in the community and they get the one-on-one coaching with one of us who's been in their shoes, who understands, who's not going to shame or judge them. We're going to walk alongside. We're going to get you the life that you freaking want, and you see the light come back into their eyes. You see, like,
Yeah.
literally transform
Yeah.
in front of our eyes. And then they go and they have these amazing results. We've had people get out of their soul sucking jobs that they hated, go find a new one. We've had people buy their dream farm with their 2 horses. We've had people take their business from $1 million a year to $4 million a year. People lose over 100 pounds, get off of anxiety medications. I mean, that's why I truly believe that you owe it to yourself to work with a coach or coaches or a coaching program if you really are serious about getting alcohol out of your life. I'm going to step down off of my pedestal now. I'm
Mm.
going to let you guys speak.
No.
That
Yeah.
was a Chris
That
rant.
was good, man. That was
What?
good
Mic
stuff.
drop.
Love
Mic
that.
There you go.
drop.
Yeah, mic
So-
drop. I
Wrap
just
it
want
up
to throw.
for us, Matt.
Yeah, well, I want to throw in. Yeah, that was probably the best part to wrap it up there. But I just wanted to throw in, anyways. There's a stat. It's like you get 6x return on investment on average for coaching, and this could be from business. And so if you look at it from, it's not all about money, right? Like what Chris was just talking about, the people's businesses. Like, how do you really quantify or measure your happiness, right? The relationships getting that much better. But just think of that for a second. 6x return on investment of measurable. And there, if you break it down, you can do like different ways of charting out how you're feeling out of 10 for certain emotions each week. You can measure these things. They are a little bit, a little bit more hard to pin down than say like how much money you've saved, for example. But that's pretty crazy. And I also want to say that between the three of us, we walk the walk and talk the talk. We have coaches of our own. Like I have a business coach. Chris is a business coach. Lauren has a business coach. I have a men's coach. I've used like many different like sort of nuances of like breath work coach. I use coaches, and I've spent tens of thousands of dollars literally that I otherwise would have been putting towards alcohol, towards coaching. So I very much believe in it, and it's part of my everyday life. And so, you know what I mean? You're not just like, we're not just sprinkling the dust on you to get you to come over here. We're doing it in our personal lives as well. Correct, guys?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. And I think one of the big things there is when you have some skin in the game, you show up differently. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
we charge, there's an investment to work with us. Quite frankly, we could charge a lot more than what we charge. I'm just going to be honest with you because people are changing their lives. But we charge, I think, a fair investment. And when you have skin in the game, you go, ooh, I better show up. I better actually take this serious. I better commit. And sometimes even just that element of it is what can help people. You look at free programs, and there's a lot of them out there. AA, Smart Recovery, and there's again nothing against those. But when you're not investing anything, you have no skin in the game. It's easy to go, whatever. Ugh, I'm not losing anything. Ugh. So I really want to plant that seed in you that it's when you have skin in the game, when you invest in yourself, things are differently. So, Lauren's got to take off. All right, have fun. Go enjoy your vacation. Uh, we're we're,
Bye, Lauren.
we're gonna wrap up here too. Did you have anything else, Matt, that you want to just to end on, or I think we hit it. What I don't want is this to make this a commercial for this is our program. And
I
I
think we
don't
did it
care how
tastefully,
you.
you know. Yeah, yeah, how you
Yeah,
interpret it.
I'm not trying to make it an infomercial, but wait, there's
No.
more.
But yeah, exactly.
But I
Yeah.
really honestly
Go into a
believe in it
sales pitch at the end here.
because we're passionate about helping people, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. And you know, the shot that I get every now and then, because I do post, and I imagine you do too. So let's just we can end with this is I'll have a post of similar content to we talked about today. Ultimately, it's not like it doesn't turn into an infomercial. It's just getting you to look at it, coaching as a different alternative to AA. And then you'll have in the comments people will say, well, why are you charging for something that you can get for free at AA? And I believe that we've really addressed all of that today. Do you feel that as well, Chris, as far as, yes, the skin in the game aspect, the success percentages, and realistically, it's not the same thing. You know, you're
Yeah.
trying to compare AA to coaching is like comparing like a rutabaga to like a bottle of mustard. Like they're just not the same thing, right?
Yeah. Well, do you pay people to cut your hair? Do you
Yeah, I
do
do.
you pay
Absolutely.
somebody to fix your car?
Yeah, but
I
yes, I
mean,
do. Yeah.
it's so interesting to me. Like, why? So you're not going to pay somebody to help you literally change your life and get your life back, but
Right.
you know what? You have no problem giving Anheuser-Busch your whole paycheck, like to
Good
to
point.
to buy
Yeah.
poison in.
Right.
So I really I get the argument that people make, but just because something's free doesn't mean it's good. Just
There
because
you go.
something
Yeah.
free doesn't mean it's beneficial for you. Look, porn is free. You think that's beneficial for you? No.
Sure. Yeah.
There's a lot
That's a
of
good point.
free things out there, but that doesn't mean that it gets results. So,
Yeah. Yep.
I will honestly tell you when it comes to the investment part of it, I invested in coaching when I had no job. I lost my 22-year radio career. I had nothing. I didn't know what I was going to do. I had to spend a good amount of money. It was $4,000, take it out of my savings, and the old me wouldn't have done that.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew something had to be different. I was tired of getting the same results. And I said, something's got to change. I have to invest in myself. And ever since that moment is when my life has changed. And
Mm-hmm.
like Matt said, we invest in ourselves in all areas of our life with coaching and mentorship because I truly wholeheartedly believe it. If you want to change your life, that's the way to do it. If you want to be serious about quitting drinking, uh, give coaching a try. And again, you don't even have to work with us. There's a lot of great coaches out there, okay? And I have nothing against any of them. We would love to work with you. Like I said, our success rate is 96%. That's pretty damn good. And we just don't let people fail. The only way that people fail is if they stop showing up for themselves and they're not committed and they don't really want it or somebody made them go. But we don't work with people if somebody's forcing them to do this because you're not going to change unless you really want it. So,
That's right.
if you want to change, if you're tired of your relationship with alcohol and you feel hopeless that, man, I've tried other things and it doesn't work, why not give coaching a try?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so do this. Go to the link that's below here or just go to getoverdrinking.com and that'll bring you to my website. You can book a call with me. We'll see if you're a good fit. We'll let you know exactly how we can help you. We have a couple of different options. If you don't want to go full bore, we got some other options for you too. But look, you got to be serious. You got to be committed. We work with high functioning, high motivated, highly achieving, go-getters, people that are ready to take their life back. Those are the people that we work with. So if that's you, set up a call and Yeah. Make sure you like this too, right? Give us all the love and
Yeah.
all that
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, it helps get the podcast out. Please do. If you're listening to this Apple podcast, 5-star review with some verbiage attached to the review really helps us get the word out. Recommend the podcast to somebody that you feel will get something out of this. And really, yeah, it's just like that grassroots sort of movement that can happen with a podcast. Spotify, give us a follow. Yeah, very much appreciate you listening.
Yeah, absolutely. And make sure you join our Facebook group, same name as the podcast, called Freedom from Alcohol. We do these episodes every Tuesday, so come back and make sure you subscribe so that you're getting notified when we put new ones out. Follow us on social media. You know, we got a ton of free content, but it's all really just scratching the surface compared to what we offer in our coaching program. So we'd love to work with you. Holler at us. That's it. We'll end it there. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Freedom from Alcohol. See you.